official weight 10 stone 9 pounds. Tonight he takes part in his 71st professional contest from Brierley Hill, West Midlands, Matt Hall. And introducing across the ring, boxing out of your red corner, he wears the yellow and black shorts, official weight 10 stone 10 pounds and 2 ounces. He brings a professional record, 15 victories, 2 defeats, 1 draw, 2 wins coming by way of knockout. From Liverpool, Andrew Chico Colquhoun. 4 3-minute rounds.
Boxing continues here at Liverpool Central with the continued return of Andrew Chico Colquhoun. Was out of a ring for 4 years almost. This is his second fight within a space of a few weeks. He's got MJ Hall up at welterweight. Southpaw Hall. Colquhoun started off his career at lightweight. He scored one of the most frightening knockouts I've ever seen. It went out live on Sky Sports, but I don't think the fight was televised. They were interviewing the pundits after a Tony Bellew fight had ended, and you just saw Dan Naylor's head bounce off the canvas in the background. It was a terrifying knockout, and that's what I remember most about Andy Colquhoun.
I didn't realise he'd knocked out Dan. Dan was solid on the road. Really
solid guy, and it was a frightening knockout. Colquhoun never really lived up to that. He had an outstanding war with Adam Ishmael for the area title, one of those area title fights we were talking about before, and then just took a break from the sport. So there's definitely lots of potential there.
Yeah, that ended in a draw. I think he had, was it just under 4.5 years out, was it, John? And returned last month when he beat another one of those tried and trusted journeymen, Naheem Ali, and he did against another one tonight, MJ Hall, who I seem to see everywhere on Frank Warren's shows during lockdown. I think he was on a few of those, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he was. I can remember him from being on a couple of the Warren bills. But yeah, incidentally, the first show here in September, Andy boxed on that for the first time in 4 years, and he beat Naeem Ali. Naeem, a very, very tough man, doesn't really do a lot, but just laid about on the ropes and just let Andy punch and took him on the gloves and talked to him and what have you. But it doesn't matter really that he only beat him on points. I think it was just a case of getting Andy back out, getting some rounds under his belt. And incidentally, MJ Hall's throwing the kitchen sink at him here. I think he's just caught him with 1 or 2 as well.
He was, yeah. Colquhoun tried retaliating, didn't he? Oh, there's a big right hand.
That might send him back in his into his shell. Back into his shell. Very busy Hall this year. I think this is his 9th fight, and he's taken this one at short notice. The original opponent failed a COVID test in the week, I believe.
Yeah, 9 fights at this current away corner fighter. Won't call him journeyman rate. That's not doing too badly, is it, this year? His minimum wage has gone up this year. He's certainly earning it tonight, though. That power that, if you are taking out a guy like Dan Naylor in that fashion that Colquhoun did, the power never really seemed to follow him up. He seemed to become like a decision machine for a long while there.
Yeah, I think it doesn't really matter if you look at Dan Naylor being sort of tough and hard. It doesn't matter if you get nailed on the button. It doesn't matter who you are. You're going out. And I think it was one of those shots. I mean, obviously Colquhoun can punch hard. He's got good skills. He's just doing everything in the right manner, isn't it? And having the dedication, there's so much to it, having the dedication, eating right, having the right attitude.
I think that's probably what it's been with Colquhoun, hasn't it? Just not doing things properly. And fingers crossed, he's 4.5 years out now. He's either decided he loves it and he missed it, or he's decided to give it one last shot. It's one of the two, but let's just hope he puts his all into it, does things properly, and tries to just live up to that potential he has got.
Yeah, he's 30 now, and it's still very young, but at 30, you can't drift out for another 2, 3, 4 years and then come back at 35. As you say, John, this is the last chance saloon to achieve anything as a professional boxer.
4 years out, you'd think from the age of 26 to the age of 30, 4 years out should be enough time to sort of kick your backside into gear and make you give it one last go. Because obviously this is his second fight now, on his second career, so to speak. So hopefully he doesn't leave any stones unturned.
Filled up very nicely in here, John, isn't it? He's filling upstairs. Downstairs, it's pretty. It's standing room at the back of the hall.
Yeah, it's a nice venue. You can imagine it being some atmosphere, couldn't you? For a hometown favourite in a good like English title fight. It'd be a tremendous atmosphere in here.
This place packed out with, you imagine someone like a Shea Neary, Andy Holligan, one of the Smith brothers in here. Obviously earlier on in their career, it would have been absolutely bouncing, wouldn't it? Yeah. You couldn't put a title fight on you, I don't think, unless it was like an area title fight. But it'd be bouncing if you got this place rammed to the rafters, definitely.
As you know, John, I'm a music nut, and I would love to be at a concert in this place. I was at Kasabian in Victoria Warehouse last night, and that was wild. So a concert in here would be something else.
Shawadi Wadi?
I'm not commenting on it.
Something like that, Steve? Is that your taste?
Mud were a fantastic band. They were one of my early fantastic band. The Rubettes were a grossly underrated British pop acts of the 70s who people would laugh at. But anyway, we're here for the boxing for MJ Hall, trying to get his first win since October 2019. That's what we're here for, John.
He's just came out firing, didn't he? Unloaded everything in that first minute, MJ Hall. He's just wised up a little bit, hasn't he? Just being a little bit more cautious now.
Just so awkward as well. Southpaw to boot. Rocks his head all the way to one side, rocks his head all the way back, and you think, well, that's a bad thing, but it just turns out being the wrong thing for the opponent, because they always miss him by maybe an inch, and then if you do catch him, he just smothers your work and grabs on for dear life.
When you're in there fighting these guys, Gary, who don't win, but they know their way around the ring, what's going through your mind when you're fighting them, a guy like this?
I think for me, after the initial sort of 2, 3, 4 journeymen, I wanted to be in with people who were more ambitious. Don't get me wrong, you don't want to be fighting people who were like 15, 16, 17 and 0, but for a young pro who's 4 or 5 and 0, you want to really be fighting someone who's had maybe 14 or 15 fights, who's probably won 10 of them, but they're going to bring some ambition, and by bringing that ambition, throwing shots at you, I think that is going to result in bringing the best out of you. But when you fight someone like this, especially someone who's relatively experienced like Andy Colquhoun, this is just going to be a mark time fight for him, really, isn't it? And obviously he'd be looking to step up a level after this one, I would have thought.
Is a couple 4-rounders like this enough for you? Maybe step up to someone who shows a bit more ambition when you've had that sort of layoff, and obviously we've no idea what he's been up to in the layoff, how he's lived or anything, but is 2 4-rounders against guys who aren't the most ambitious?
Well, there's lots of answers to that question. I mean, if he's been living right and if he's been training right, then these 2 4-rounders just to get the rust off. Obviously you wouldn't really want to see him after 4 years out with 2 4-rounders against journeyman step into a title shot against an unbeaten opponent, but you would want him to step in, like I just said, against someone who's a little bit more ambitious, who's probably got 10 or 12 wins on their record and a couple of defeats, who's coming to actually win. It's looking okay though, Andy Colquhoun. He's got good skills. Needs to use the jab a little bit more, I think. And I think he loves that left hook to the body, doesn't he? So I think he wants to get up close and try to pick away for that left hook to the body.
Very patient fight as well, Colquhoun, isn't he? You can see him working things out, trying to find the right opening for the right shot.
I think that comes with experience, though, doesn't it? He's had 17 fights, so he should really be, especially against these guys, you've got to be patient, because if you go running after them, they just tie you up. He's not far away with that right hand either, Colquhoun, when he throws it. He's just a whisker away. and he did land with it in the first round as well.
Nothing clean landed there in that exchange. Yeah, Colquhoun will be trying to work out that herky-jerky, unorthodox head movement of Hall, won't he? And just try and time that right hand so that Hall moves into it rather than moving away from it. Dominating the centre of the ring. It's just whether he can work Hall onto one of these shots.
He's very clever, Hall. You know, he's got a lot of experience. He just knows how to close that gap. Knows how to mess about and put the guy off.
Quite often close is safe, isn't it? You know, instead of skirting around at arm's length, if you can get in close against someone like Colquhoun, that might actually be the safest part of the ring.
100%, because you're actually stifling the opponent's shots, aren't you? So you're taking the leverage away. So quite a safe haven for a lot of the journeymen who know their way around the boxing ring.
Not much clean work here in this third round. Just Hall just looking to stay safe. Colquhoun looking for the clean shots, but not much landing clean so far in this third round.
Yeah, very, very frustrated opponent, MJ Hall, isn't he? Very, very frustrated. Can't get anything off clean, and then when you think you have got something off clean, he grabs hold of you and stifles your work.
Forearms banging into you and everything, your elbows, and shoulders and heads.
Heads have gone in a few times. Nice little right uppercut from Colquhoun there to finish off.
Yeah, that was about the only decent shot there of the round there.
Probably, but Colquhoun very obviously on top.
As you were saying, Gary, he was, I think you were talking about, you know, when he'll want to move on from these journeymen, and he's going to be going through it in his mind in the ring there, thinking, I've been through this at one stage of my career before.
This is what I talked about earlier. You know, this is like his second career, so it's the second fight of his second career, and he knows he's above this level, but he knows he has to fight these guys to sort of get the ring rust off and pave the way for a bigger fight. I mean, it could even be a central area title fight against maybe the next opponent.
Fourth and final round, all gone Andy Chico Colquhoun's way so far. But got to be fair, he's not had MJ Hall in any trouble, you know. But it's all been fought on Colquhoun's terms. This Hall will just be looking to hear the final bell and move on to the next bout on his ledger, probably scheduled for some point next week or the week after. And as Gary and Steve have been saying, Colquhoun will be looking for something a little bit more meaningful to come after this.
Yeah, he's done okay, Colquhoun, hasn't he? He hasn't really done a lot wrong. Been nice and patient, but against such an awkward opponent, it's very, very hard to get very hard to get the clean shots off.
Yeah, MJ Hall, I've just checked on BoxRec, John. He hasn't got any fights booked in the next, but I'm sure
that'll change.
That will change. Yeah.
Well, no fights that are listed on BoxRec anyway. I think we could make a sportsman's bet that he's definitely got fights booked in the next few weeks.
I love when you look at BoxRec and you see these journeymen, they've got about 5 fights booked over 6 weeks. Yeah. Sometimes they're even double booked.
Yeah. Sometimes you can be stood watching the fights with a young kid and be saying, "Oh, I'm fighting him 2 weeks' time," and they get stopped, and you see the disappointment in the face. It's a crazy sport, isn't it? Really.
That was one of the problems during lockdown. Too many of these journeymen were getting stopped because they were going on the Matchroom and Queensbury shows, and Mick Hennessy had a couple. They were getting stopped in 28 days because where they were fighting on shows they wouldn't normally get a look in at.
Strange times in boxing during the pandemic. I think so so many journeymen let their licences lapse because they weren't boxing. Probably went and got employment somewhere else, became accustomed to working, and then now boxing is back. I think they're all coming back now one by one. I think they're starting to get licensed again, but I think that is the reason why so many shows lately have had to be pulled, because they can't get the opponents, even the foreigners. I think the border control they've cracked down on the foreigners coming in with big losing records, lots of knockouts, and I think quite rightly so as well, because you know what is the point of that in bringing a Hungarian in who's lost 15 times and been knocked out 10 times? What is a prospect going to learn from that?
And I think John and myself were talking with John Pegg on the Bell to Bell podcast the other week, and he was saying that by the end of November it will have sorted itself out because all the guys will be licensed again, and
hopefully so. Yeah, I mean, for instance, you know, we worked on this, myself and Trevor, the producer here tonight. We worked on this in September, and they had a comedy errors in the background for this bill. You know, Pat ended up putting the bell on anyway with just 4 fights. And that was good shot.
Big left hook from Colquhoun just as the bell goes, but
Cracking shot.
Hall's hopping around, but he's
But sorry guys, incidentally, that 4 fights, the show only going ahead with 4 fights was due to what we've just said. So much lack of opponents, border control turning down foreign opponents as well. So testament to the kind of guy Pat is to put on the show and lose a load of money with only 4 fights on it.
So MJ Hall was stiffened at the end of that fight.
But he did recover well. If you saw, I know the bell went, but if you saw, he recovered straight away.
His instinct was there to raise his arm.
And the first round the same. He was throwing some haymakers and he got caught with one, but then recovered, didn't he? So, but I like that. I like seeing these journeymen have a little go like that. Brilliant.
After 4 rounds of action, your referee man wrestling scores the contest 39 points to 38 points. The winner, Andrew Chico Colquhoun.
I thought it was wider than.
Yeah, I thought Colquhoun was in total control there, just having things his own way. 39-38, much closer than we thought.
2 rounds of 1 and 1 even.
Uneven.
Oh, the right man won.
Yeah, that's amazing.